This is Steve with Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and today I'm going to show you how to replace the clutch on this Yamaha YFZ450. Whether you're drag racing at the sand dunes, out on the trails, or at the track racing, your clutch takes some serious abuse. Now if you have symptoms like clutch slippage or a chattery grabby feel, or you just don't feel that it's working right, it's probably worth inspecting and or replacing. Now on this 2007 YFZ450, Yamaha recommends inspecting and or replacing your clutch plates every 6 months. So today I'm going to show you how to do that on this machine. Now the procedures that I show you should work on all of your YFZ models, but you should double check with your OEM service manual to be sure. To do this job, you'll need some basic hand tools, a torque wrench, rags, rubber gloves, and safety glasses, along with a clutch cover gasket. Now we're installing the Tusk Competition clutch kit in this YFZ450. You'll also need a copy of your OEM service manual for more information, proper procedures, and specs. Any opportunity you get to change your oil is always best. Now I literally changed the oil on this like a week ago, so it's kind of unnecessary. So I went ahead and propped the machine up like this so that I could replace the clutch without having to drain the oil. Now last night I also took the clutch plates out and put them in a pan with fresh brand new oil so that they could soak overnight before we did this install. Now the first thing we need to do is back off all of our clutch adjustment. This would also be a good time to go through and lube your cable. If you need more information on that, we have a great video that you should check out on that. Now the next thing we need to do is remove our clutch cover bolts. Now the brake lever is slightly in front of one of them, so we're going to go ahead and push that down and hold it out of the way with this screwdriver so that we can get access to it. Now we can go ahead and remove all of our clutch cover bolts. I'm going to break them loose at a quarter turn in a crisscross pattern, and then I'll go ahead and remove them all. Now let's remove the clutch cover. Now there's 2 dowel pins on this that you need to be aware of, so don't lose them or drop them. Now let's go ahead and remove the pressure plate bolts a quarter turn at a time, and then we'll go ahead and remove them all the way out in a crisscross pattern. Now let's remove the pressure plate. Now let's remove the push rod thrust plate. Now there's a ball bearing that we need to get out of there. Now it's really unnecessary to remove this, but we're going to go ahead and remove it anyway so that we can inspect it. There's a thrust bearing right there that you want to make sure moves freely, and then obviously check the ball. There's also a push rod in there that you can pull out and inspect as well. And while you have it apart, it's definitely worth doing. Now let's remove the clutch pack. Usually if you just grab the outer part, you can pull them all out, but if you can't get them all, you can use a pick or something to get the rest of them out. Now let's remove the spring washer and seat plate. They're also known as judder springs. Now the reason I want to pull this out in a complete pack as much as I can is because I want to keep them all together, because you definitely want to keep the orientation of everything. Then when you go ahead and inspect it in reinstallation, it makes it much easier. Now that we've got all the clutch plates removed, you want to inspect the clutch basket for grooving. Now there's a little bit of grooving on this, but it's pretty minimal, so we're going to go ahead and continue on and replace all of our clutch plates. But if it was pretty severe on the basket or the hub, you'll definitely want to replace those. Now when you're inspecting your fiber plates and your steel plates, you want to look for any sort of discoloration and the overall amount of material that's still on your fiber plates. There's a couple measurements in the OEM service manual that you can check, but clutch kits are pretty inexpensive, and if you have any sort of discoloration, I just go ahead and replace it. You'll always have an optimal working clutch, and it's a preventive measure as well. Now my last note on clutch plate inspection, the very last plate, or the deepest one in your clutch pack on this machine, is slightly slimmer right here, and that's so that your spring washer and spring seat can rest right inside that. Now obviously you can see here on the steel plate that it rests on that and it's worn a groove there. So that alone is another reason why you'd want to just go ahead and replace it. But if your spring washer or conical or judder spring, it flattens out or it's discolored or warped, you're definitely going to want to replace that as well. Now let's take a rag and some contact cleaner and go ahead and clean off our parts. Now let's take our clutch cover and go ahead and remove the old gasket and clean that as well. Now let's begin our install by installing our seat washer and now our spring washer. Now these are directional. Some have words or markings on them somewhere that will tell you the direction they go. Just be aware of that. It's possible that some aftermarket clutch kits require you to leave out the cushion ring and judder spring, but refer to the provided information or manufacturer for their recommendations. Now let's take our first fiber plate. Now on this one, it's the thinner one of the whole bunch, and so we need to put this one in first, and then we can go ahead and alternate between a steel and a fiber and a steel and a fiber. Now a note I have on the steel plates is you want them all to face the same direction. Now what I mean by that is on the outer edge, if you were to feel the corner of it with your finger, one side would be round and the other side would be fairly sharp. So you just want to make sure all the sharp edges are facing one way and the round edges are facing one way. And it doesn't really matter which way they go, just as long as they're all facing the same way. Now let's install the pushrod, ball, and pushrod thrust washer plate. Next, let's reinstall the pressure plate. Now we'll reinstall our bolts with our heavy-duty tusk springs in a crisscross pattern. Then we'll torque them to 5.8 foot-pounds. Now let's install our dowel pins and our gasket. And now our clutch cover. And now let's install the clutch cover bolts and torque them to 7.2 foot-pounds in a crisscross pattern. Now let's remove the screwdriver. Now this would be a good time to clean any excess oil off of your machine before you use your machine. Now we need to adjust the clutch so that we have about 8 to 13 millimeters of free play, measured from the end of the lever. And that's it. That's all there is to replacing the clutch on your YFZ450. Come check us out at RockyMountainATVMC.com for more parts, apparel, and accessories. And if you like what you see here, subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is Steve. I'll catch you next time.